The command center's lights flickered as emergency alarms blared. Captain Kim's hands shook slightly as he read the damage reports from the holographic display. His dark eyes scanned the devastating numbers one by one. "New Sol colony on Kepler 442b, he began, his voice steady despite the horror of what he was reporting. 30,000 civilians confirmed dead. The Zephyrin attack ships used their plasma cannons on the residential districts. They targeted schools and hospitals first. Admiral Park stood motionless at the central command table, her jaw clenched tight. She had known many of those people personally. Her younger brother had been stationed at New Sol as a medical officer. Mars. Mining Station 7, Kim continued, clearing his throat. 15,000 miners trapped when the Vrex corporate raiders detonated the main oxygen processors. They wanted the rare earth deposits, so they simply erased everyone who stood in their way. The tactical display showed the burning remains of what had once been humanity's most productive mining operation. Twisted metal and frozen bodies drifted. In the thin Martian atmosphere, Titan research facility, Kim's voice cracked, completely destroyed. The Ashkari zealots claimed it was a military installation. It wasn't. It was where our scientists were developing new medicines for the outer colonies. 700 researchers, including the entire xenobiology team. Admiral Park finally moved, slamming her fist so hard on the tactical display that the hologram flickered. The metal surface beneath showed the dent her anger had created. 3 alien fleets had struck simultaneously across human space. The coordination was perfect, clearly planned for months. The Zephyrin warships had torn through their outer defenses like they were made of paper. Their energy weapons had punched through human shields as if they didn't exist. The Vrex corporate, raiders with their massive cargo ships converted into weapons platforms, had ransacked the trade stations, stealing everything of value before destroying what remained. The Ashkari zealots, believing humans were somehow blocking their path to divine enlightenment, had used their crystal-powered ships to bombard civilian shelters from orbit. Lieutenant Lee rushed to his station, his face pale. "Sir," he called. "Out. Incoming transmission from Earth Council. Priority Alpha Channel." Admiral Park straightened her uniform and nodded. Around the command center, dozens of officers turned their attention to the main display. The low hum of conversations died as everyone waited. The holo display activated with a soft chime. The image resolved to show the Earth Council chambers, its curved walls lined with representatives from every human world. But at the center stood President Choi, his weathered face showing every one of his 60 years. The president's usually kind eyes held a coldness that made several officers step back unconsciously. "Citizens of the galaxy," President Choi began, his voice carrying across every communication channel in known space. "This is Earth's final warning." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Attack humanity again and you will face complete annihilation. We will not repeat this message." The camera showed the alien ambassadors in the chamber. They had come to witness what they thought would be humanity's surrender. Instead, they began laughing. The sound was a mixture of growls, clicking, and sounds no human throat could make. But the meaning was universal. Mockery. The Zephyrin commander Thekmor, a towering figure covered in scales that shifted color with his emotions, stepped forward. His rows of sharp teeth were visible as he sneered. "Your species barely controls 10 star systems. We control thousands. Your ships are slow, your weapons are weak, and your soldiers die easily." The Vrex ambassador, a slug-like creature with glowing eyes, added its voice through a translation device. "Humans are profitable when harvested correctly. We offer you a final opportunity to surrender your colonies for mining rights." The Ashkari High Priest, a being of pure energy contained in a crystal exoskeleton, spoke in harmonics that hurt human ears. "Your very existence blocks the sacred light of our gods. Submit to cleansing and your death will be quick." Through it all, President Choi's expression never changed. His hands remained folded calmly behind his back. When the alien laughter finally died down, he spoke again. "You misunderstand." His voice was quiet, but it carried absolute authority. "This is not a negotiation. This is not a plea. This is not desperate posturing." He stepped closer to the camera, and for a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Something old and terrible. This is simply information. Attack humanity again and you will face complete annihilation. The aliens continued to laugh, but some of the representatives from other species in the gallery had gone very quiet. They were the older races, the ones who remembered fragments of ancient history. President Choi turned and walked toward the exit, his footsteps echoing in the chamber. He paused at the doorway without looking back. "You have been warned." Commander Park gripped the armrest of her command chair as the tactical display showed 20 red dots approaching Ganymede Station. The gas giant's massive form hung in the background, its swirling orange and brown storms looking peaceful compared to the tension in the control room. She had been running Ganymede's defense grid for 5 years, and nothing like this had ever happened. "They're really doing it," she muttered, watching the Zephyrin ships maintain perfect formation as they approached. "After everything that happened, at New Seoul they're still coming at us." Lieutenant O checked his instruments twice before speaking. "Ma'am, I'm reading 20 heavy cruisers, standard Zephyrin design, but these have been upgraded. New armor plating, enhanced energy cores. They're not taking any chances." The communication officer, Ensign Ko, raised her hand. "Commander, incoming." "Message from the lead Zephyrin vessel." "Put it through," Park ordered. The main screen flickered, showing the fearsome face of a Zephyrin war commander. His scales had turned a deep crimson color, indicating aggressive intent in their culture. Behind him, other Zephyrin warriors prepared their weapons. "Humans," the commander spoke, his voice a dangerous growl. "I am Commander Vextar of the Crimson Fleet. We will test your resolve. 20 ships approach your station. Your president made grand threats, but words are wind. Stop us if you can." The transmission ended. Commander Park felt her stomach tighten. Ganymede Station housed 50,000 civilians, mostly miners and their families. The station's defenses were standard, enough to handle pirates or small raids, but nothing like this. "All defensive weapons online," she ordered. "Evacuate sections 7 through 12. Get those families to the core shelters." Suddenly, her tactical officer, Sergeant Yoon, pointed at his screen. "Commander, new contact. Single ship decloaking on our starboard side." Park spun around. On the display, a ship had appeared out of nowhere. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. The vessel was sleek and black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Its hull seemed to ripple like liquid mercury, making it impossible to get a clear scan. "Where did that come from?" she asked, her voice tight with surprise. "Unknown, ma'am. It just appeared. Sensors can't get a proper reading. It's like the ship is bending space around itself." The mysterious vessel positioned itself between Ganymede Station and the approaching Zephyrin fleet. It was tiny compared to the alien warships, maybe 200 meters long versus their 800-meter battle cruisers. The Zephyrin commander's voice crackled through the comm system again. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself. Stand aside or be destroyed with the human station." For a moment there was only silence. Then a calm human voice responded. "This is Captain Han of the TDS Reckoning. You have 30 seconds to withdraw." From this system, Commander Park had never heard of any ship called the Reckoning. The TDS designation was Terran Defense Ship, but she knew every vessel in the fleet. This ship didn't exist in any database. The Zephyrin commander's laughter echoed through space. "One small human ship against 20 battle cruisers? You must be joking." 29 seconds, Captain Han replied, his voice unchanged. The alien commander's scales turned an even deeper red. "You dare threaten us? Open fire! Destroy that insect!" The Zephyrin ships unleashed their fury. 20 vessels fired simultaneously, plasma cannons, particle beams, quantum torpedoes. The IG combined firepower could have vaporized a small moon. The weapons struck the Reckoning dead on, engulfing it in brilliant explosions. When the light faded, Commander Park expected to see debris. Instead, the Reckoning hung in space, completely unharmed. The alien weapons had struck something and simply bounced off. It was impossible. "How is that possible?" Lieutenant O whispered. Captain Han's sigh came through the comm. "Your choice." What happened next defied everything Commander Park knew about space combat. The Reckoning moved, but moved wasn't the right word. It didn't accelerate. It simply existed in different places so fast that human eyes couldn't track it. The first Zephyrin ship exploded. Park blinked, and the second was gone. The reckoning appeared to be in multiple places at once, each appearance marked by the death of another alien vessel. The Zephyrin weapons couldn't track it, couldn't hit it. Their targeting systems showed nothing but empty space. Commander Vexitar's voice filled with panic. "All ships, evasive maneuvers, focus fire." On his transmission cut off as his flagship tore apart from the inside out. The reckoning had somehow passed through the ship's shields and hull as if they weren't there. "Impossible," Sergeant Yoon breathed. "Our sensors show nothing. No energy signature, no propulsion system. That ship shouldn't be able to do what it's doing." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted exactly 18 minutes. At the end, nothing remained of the Zephyrin fleet but expanding clouds of gas and molten metal. The reckoning hung motionless in space, still absorbing light like a hole in reality. Before anyone could react, the mysterious ship began broadcasting. But this wasn't just any transmission. It was sending detailed scans of something else entirely. "God," Commander Park gasped. Those are military bases, Zephyrin bases, all of them." The data stream showed every Zephyrin stronghold in the galaxy. Ship counts, weapon inventories, troop numbers, fleet positions. Information that should have been impossible to obtain, displayed with casual ease. As the transmission ended, the reckoning began to fade, turning invisible once more. But before it disappeared completely, President Choi's voice echoed across all frequencies in the galaxy. "We know where you live. This was your test. You failed." The Vrex corporate board gathered. In their obsidian tower on Kethal Prime, the room filled with the smell of ozone and synthetic nutrients. CEO Vex, a slug-like creature whose translucent skin revealed the credits flowing through his circulatory system like liquid gold, watched the recording from Ganymede Station for the 5th time. "One prototype ship," he insisted, his gill slits fluttering with agitation. "A single vessel against 20 battle cruisers. The humans must have finally developed something worthwhile, but it's clearly their only one." Board member Crix, whose cybernetic implants replaced most of his original insectoid body, nodded in agreement. His mechanical eyes whirred as they focused. "Our intelligence core has analyzed the engagement. The ship's technology appears to violate several laws of physics, but that's impossible. They must be using some form of advanced hologram projection combined with stealth technology." Another board member, a gaseous being contained in a floating biomechanical suit, pulsed with greedy anticipation. "The humans have been hiding their technology for decades. Now we see why. This ship could revolutionize interstellar warfare. The patents alone would be worth trillions." CEO Vex's eyes gleamed with artificial light. "Our intelligence suggests they're bluffing. One ship, no matter how advanced, cannot defend an entire species. Launch Corporate Fleet 1. 6,000 ships should be more than enough to overwhelm their defenses and secure their technology." Halfway across the galaxy, Dr. Kim hunched over her workstation in a hidden archaeological site on the planet Nexus Prime. She had spent 3 years infiltrating the ancient alien archives buried beneath the world's surface. The site was off-limits to humans, guarded by automated defense systems that had killed dozens of treasure hunters. But Kim was no ordinary scientist. She was part of a secret team tasked with uncovering humanity's forgotten past. Her fingers danced over the holographic interface, translating fragments of text from a dozen dead languages. The data was fragmentary, scattered across corrupted data crystals and damaged stone tablets. But the picture emerging made her blood run cold. "This can't be right," she whispered, adjusting her translation algorithms for the 100th time. But the text remained the same. Humans weren't from Earth originally. They were refugees, survivors. The dates were wrong too. Humanity's presence in the galaxy went back far longer than anyone believed. On Earth, her husband, Professor Lee, was making parallel discoveries in the deepest vaults of the Terran Historical Archive. The classified sections, the ones that required presidential approval to access, held fragments of the same story. His hands shook as he read the ancient text. "The Ancient War," he whispered, his voice echoing in the empty vault. "A conflict that ended entire civilizations. The Gardner race, builders of ring worlds, the void speakers who could bend space-time. The machine consciousness that ruled 1,000,000 systems. All of them gone." The translations spoke of a war so devastating that it had left most of the galaxy empty. Entire star systems had been turned into graveyards. One side had chosen to destroy everything rather than surrender. But which side and who had won? Agent O crouched in the ventilation shaft above the Vrex High Command Center on Thexis Station. She had been undercover for 2 years, posing as a maintenance worker while infiltrating their most secure facilities. The Vrex kept meticulous records of everything they encountered in space, including things they weren't supposed to find. Tonight, she accessed their xenoarchaeology database. What she found changed everything. The Vrex had discovered ruins on 17 different worlds, ruins of a species that matched human genetic markers but were impossibly old, cities that had been obliterated by weapons that no current civilization possessed. And most disturbing of all, records showing that these ancient humans hadn't fled the galaxy. They had sterilized it. O's earpiece crackled with an encrypted message from Earth. Dr. Kim and Professor Lee were sharing their findings through quantum-encrypted channels. The pattern is clear. Dr. Kim's voice whispered through the static. The other races in the galaxy, they're not truly ancient. The oldest of them barely span 50,000 years. But human genetic markers appear in ruins dating back over 200,000 years. Professor Lee's voice joined the conference. The texts speak of the Last War. A human faction called themselves the Gardeners. They believed in preserving life, creating worlds, nurturing species. But their enemies... His voice trailed off. Their enemies were also human, Agent O finished, looking at the Vrex data. I've got records here of a human faction called the Harvests. They consumed entire worlds, grew stronger by destroying civilizations. The war wasn't between humans and aliens. It was a human civil war that lasted millennia. The 3 researchers fell silent, processing the implications. Dr. Kim finally spoke, her voice barely audible. The Gardeners won. They drove the Harvesters to the edge of the galaxy and then they did something that left the galaxy mostly empty. The current alien species? They're the descendants of primitive cultures that survived because they weren't advanced enough to be threats. The Gardeners retired to a single system, Professor Lee read from an ancient text. They removed most traces of their civilization and waited, watching, preparing. Agent O checked the Vrex invasion timetables. Fleet 1 launches in 6 hours, 6,000 ships heading for Earth. They think we're weak. They have no idea what we really are. Dear God, Dr. Kim breathed, staring at the final piece of data she'd uncovered. It was a genetic registry, listing the founding populations of Earth. Not immigrants from another world, but the last military units of the Gardener faction, setting up a hidden base in an unremarkable star system. We're not refugees. We're the survivors, and we've been waiting. The quantum pulse traveled faster than light itself, reaching every human settlement within minutes. It was a signal that had been dormant for 200,000 years, encoded into the DNA of every human in the galaxy. When it activated, everything changed. Shopkeeper Kim was serving his usual customers in the merchant quarter of Rigel Station. One moment, he was scanning inventory on his pad, discussing the price of synthetic coffee with a Vrex trader. The next moment, his posture changed. His shoulders straightened, his eyes sharpened, and his movements became precise and calculated. The elderly man who had run a simple electronics shop for 30 years was gone, replaced by something else entirely. "Store closing early today," he announced, his voice carrying new authority. The Vrex trader looked confused as Kim's hands moved over his shop's computers with military efficiency. Hidden panels opened in the walls, revealing weapons that shouldn't have existed. The modest electronic displays flickered and changed, showing tactical readouts and fleet positions. On New Busan, Farmer Park had been tending his crops of modified rice that grew in the planet's unusual soil. He stopped mid-step when the signal hit, dropping his farming tools. Without a word, he walked across his fields to a shed that his neighbors had assumed stored fertilizer and equipment. The shed's security systems recognized his biometrics instantly. As the door slid open, the interior expanded, far larger than the small building should have contained. Inside, weapons hummed with impossible power. Not the crude energy weapons used by most galactic species, but devices that seemed to bend reality itself. Park's weathered hands, which had spent decades nurturing life from soil, now moved with practiced familiarity over instruments of war. At New Singapore Primary School on Kepler Station, Teacher Lee had been reading to her class of mixed-species children when the pulse arrived. Human children, young Zephyrans, Vrex younglings, and Ashkari Christlings all looked up as their gentle teacher suddenly changed. "Children," she said, her voice kind but urgent, "today's lesson is postponed. Everyone needs to go to the shelters. Immediately. Human children, you know the drill. Alien students, follow the green lights. The watch has awakened." The children didn't question her. They had practiced these drills, though they'd never understood what they were for. As they filed out in perfect order, Lee watched them go with sad eyes. She had hoped this day would never come. Her classroom walls retracted, revealing command screens and weapon systems. The children's drawings and learning posters slid away to show tactical displays. In the command center of Earth's primary defense installation, Admiral Seo stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. Red dots began appearing, each one a human settlement reporting ready status. But these weren't the sleepy colonies and trading posts that appeared in official galactic records. "All stations confirm, sir," her communications officer reported, his voice filled with awe. "The last watch is active. Every human settlement is transitioning to combat mode." Seo watched as peaceful farming colonies revealed massive weapon arrays. Trading stations unfolded into fortress configurations. Even the smallest human outposts suddenly bristled with defenses that hadn't existed minutes before. The three alien fleets had formed into a massive armada. 10,000 ships from the Vrex corporate navy, their hulls gleaming with corporate logos. 15,000 Zephyran warships, their scales reflecting the light of distant stars. 8,000 Ashkari, vessels that pulsed with energy. Together, they represented the greatest military force the galaxy had seen in thousands of years. Admiral Seo traced their paths on the tactical display. All three fleets were moving in perfect coordination, converging on Earth from different vectors. Their strategy was simple: crush humanity's homeworld and force the species to surrender. "They actually believe they can win," she murmured. General O appeared on the main screen from his position, aboard the Deep Space Monitoring Station. His scarred face was grim but determined. "Fleet composition is interesting," he noted. "The Vrex are coming for our technology. The Zephyrans seek honor through conquest. The Ashkari believe they're on a holy mission." More reports flooded in. On Titan Base, mining equipment transformed into quantum weapons. The agricultural domes on Ceres revealed themselves to be shield generators. Even Earth's moon split open along hidden lines, exposing vast weapon arrays. "Sir," the tactical officer called out, "we're getting reports from deep space scouts. The enemy fleets are slowing down." SEO smiled grimly. They're finally seeing the real picture. Across space, alien commanders were receiving panicked reports from their scouts. The galaxy map they thought they knew was wrong. Every human world was a fortress. Every trading post was a weapons platform. The peacekeeping stations were battleships. The entire human species had been hiding in plain sight. The Vrex CEO Vex received emergency transmissions from his forward scouts. "Sir, the readings don't match our intelligence. These aren't colonial settlements, they're military installations disguised as civilian colonies." The Zephyran war leader, Thekmor, watched his screens in disbelief. "How many weapons do these humans have? Our sensors show incredible power readings from every one of their worlds." The Ashkari High Commander's harmony became discordant. "This cannot be." The humans appeared weak, divided. Now they reveal the strength of a unified war machine. But it was too late to stop. Their fleets were committed. Their leaders had made public proclamations. The combined armada continued its advance toward Earth, though doubt now crept into alien minds. In the Terran Defense Command, Admiral Seo looked at the incoming fleets with resignation. She had served in the military for 40 years, believing she was protecting human colonies from pirates and raiders. Only now did she understand. She had always been part of something much larger. "They're coming for Earth," she said, watching the red dots converge on her screens. "All of them. Just as expected." General O nodded slowly. "Then it's time they learned who we really are. Signal all colonies. The last war protocols are now active. Time to remind the galaxy why it's been so quiet for so long. I'll expand the BY story to approximately 900 words, with an engaging narrative that maintains the core plot while adding more depth and excitement. The vast darkness of space trembled as the alien armada approached. 33,000 ships stretched across the starscape like a metallic plague. Their hull designs, a nightmarish blend of organic technology and cold mechanical precision. The Zephyrin fleet, known for consuming entire civilizations, had finally reached humanity's doorstep. Inside Earth's hidden command center, President Choi watched the holographic displays. Decades of preparation, centuries of secret engineering were about to be tested. The room hummed with suppressed tension. Military personnel moved with calculated precision, their fingers hovering over controls that could change galactic history. "Incoming transmission," announced a young communications officer, her voice steady despite the impending doom. The Zephyrin commander's voice boomed through every speaker, a sound that seemed to vibrate with contempt. "Humans, your civilization ends today. Surrender your planet, and we might consider leaving some of you alive." A subtle smile crossed President Choi's lips. They had been waiting for this moment. "Admiral Kim," he spoke quietly, "initiate Protocol 7. Kim hesitated for a microsecond. "Sir, that will expose everything we've hidden." "Exactly," Choi responded. Across Earth's surface, something extraordinary began to happen. What everyone believed were continents, mountain ranges, vast plains, ocean beds, started to shift. Massive metallic plates emerged, revealing intricate technological connections. The planet wasn't just a planet. It was the most elaborate battle station ever conceived. Massive weapon systems that had been dormant for millennia began to pulse with ancient energy. Each continent was a modular section of an immense spacecraft, carefully disguised as natural terrain. Billions of years of evolution and technological advancement were about to be unveiled in a single moment. The first wave of Vrex attack ships approached, their plasma cannons charging. They expected easy conquest, another civilization to add to their galactic collection. They were terribly wrong. Earth's defense systems activated, not with modern missiles or laser weapons, but with technology so advanced it seemed like magic. The first squadron of alien ships simply disappeared. No explosion, no debris, just complete annihilation. Captain Lee, monitoring from the lunar command base, watched in astonishment. All human colonies reporting similar results. 0 casualties on our side. In less than 4 hours, the most sophisticated invasion force in galactic history had been completely destroyed. President Choi's final transmission echoed through every communication channel. "We are the guardians of an ancient legacy. We sought peace, but you brought war. Your fleet is dust. To any surviving species, approach with respect, and we will be your most powerful allies. Threaten us again, and you'll share the same fate." The galaxy fell silent. Humanity had been waiting, preparing. Hidden in plain sight for millennia, they were not the vulnerable species the alien armada had believed. Every peaceful colony was a potential fortress. Every seemingly mundane settlement concealed technologies beyond comprehension. The Zephyrin command structure collapsed instantly, their entire military philosophy, built on overwhelming force and psychological intimidation, had been utterly defeated in a matter of hours. What the aliens didn't understand was humanity's true nature. Not just as a species, but as inheritors of technologies so advanced they bordered on the mythical. Civilizations rise and fall, but some keep their true potential hidden, waiting for the right moment. That moment had arrived. As the last alien signals faded, humanity revealed itself not as a vulnerable target, but as a sleeping giant, millennia of secret technological development, waiting precisely for this moment. The message was clear: approach with friendship, or be erased from existence. The void of space, once filled with the Zephyrin fleet's menacing presence, now held only silence and the faint, almost imperceptible hum of Earth's transformed battle planet. Humanity had just changed the rules of galactic engagement forever,